Some years ago I bought a job lot at an auction for a projector, for a 16mm projector, and in that lot was a Ensign rangefinder camera, which I tested and I was a little bit disappointed about. But I was intrigued by the camera. I eventually sold it, but was always sort of thinking, should I have kept that camera? Could it have been better than I thought it was? Well, I eventually bought another one, and the camera I'm talking about today is this Ensign 220. Now, Ensign were a English camera company who were part of the Ensign were part of Houghton and Butcher, who were camera manufacturers, and they made cameras from about 1900 to about 1960. And some of those cameras are very collectible and very usable. Now, pre-war, obviously the big manufacturers in the quality area were the German manufacturers like Carl Zeiss, but the English manufacturers were keen to compete. And this is a very interesting camera for a lot of different reasons. And in its heyday, in about 1936-37, it was a very advanced camera, because we have a rangefinder. Now, a rangefinder is like a double image, which allows you to, when you bring the two images together, to focus. So we have a rangefinder on this camera, and we have a counter. Let's just go through how to use this camera. As I said, it's a 220 Ensign, and we have a rangefinder. We have a little counter at the back here, but we only use that counter at the beginning. So let's talk about how we load the film. So one of the interesting things about this camera is we have two flaps here. See that flap? And that turns it into a 6x4 camera. And 6x4, we can get 16 frames on the film instead of the normal 12 as in 6 1/4. So, and that obviously uses the same lens, so when we're doing 6x4, it does make it more of a camera for portraits. But we have the option, okay? So, when we load the film, we obviously load it manually, and we wind on to number 1 in the window, and we have on this little top here, we decide whether we're going to have 12, which would be the square, or if we are closing it, the flaps. So we have 12, or we can flip the thing over, and it has, if we look on this other side, it has 16. So we need to decide whether we are having 12 or 16. I'm going to have 12. I'm going to keep it on the 2 1/4. So I put the bit of plate on, and I turn it. When I've got my number 1 in the window, I turn the counter to number 1 there, and that is now set. So just put the plug back. Now, on a lot of cameras, rangefinder cameras, it was what we call uncoupled rangefinder. On here, when we move for focusing, which is on here, the rangefinder is actually moving. So this camera is an early coupled rangefinder. So I'm looking in the middle, and I'm focusing on the camera that's taking me, and I notice that that is focused to 3 feet, which it is. So the rangefinder is accurate. So I've got the film loaded, I focus, I then decide on my aperture. I'm going to use the sunny 16 rule, and it's been very sunny here, so pop that on 16 with a shutter speed of 1/100th, and the shutter speed is set here. Yes, it's a straightforward NZAR. Now, when I put when I had one of these previously, the images were very soft, and I was expecting that to happen again. But let's actually see what happened when I took the photographs. The first image is taken on the bright sunny afternoon, and I'm really pleased with the effect here. It's really sharp, far sharper than I remember when I took the images years ago on a similar model. Again, second image, no complaint at all. In fact, I'm really impressed with this lens. The Ensign did have a good reputation. I think what depends a lot is maybe the camera I had before was uncoated, I think, and was made just before the war. This camera, by the indication of the chrome on the aperture plate, I think it's a later model, and I was really pleased with the results. I did get a couple of images where I had a little bit of light flooding in, but that was because I made the mistake of almost opening the door halfway through a film. But I took this out in Dorchester. This image is slightly cropped because it was the one that had got some light on it, but I was delighted with the results. It's as sharp as any other folder I've used. It's nice to use. I say nice to use. The focusing is a little bit strange being on the sort of lower plate where the lens comes out, but you soon get used to that. This, as I said, was a very novel camera at the time it came out. This is filmed on for Thermoplan 100, developed in ID 11 at a dilution of 1:1 at 20 degrees for 10 minutes, and it's a camera that I'm definitely going to keep for the moment. I think it could be a very good day-to-day user camera. I have got a slight problem on the catch of this camera, which I'm going to have to try to sort out. But apart from that, I was really pleased with this camera. I, as you can see, took some photographs in the local cemetery, which has a number of war graves, and it was a good camera to use, and it's a camera, as I said, I'm definitely going to use again. So if you've seen an Ensign, don't just dismiss it. It might be well worth a go. Thank you very much for watching. The last image is just coming up now. As I said, it was quite a warm afternoon when I took these, and this is the Durnovaria Hall for band practice in Dorchester. Again, really good contrast here, good levels of detail, good sharpness. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.